Hi everybody. In tonight's journey with Mr. Peabody, I am going to add some UI text to display a score, and I'm also going to start keeping a score of Mr. Peabody as he ventures through this game. So to add a user interface text, we are going to add a game object of UI text. And right here, it's very small, but there is some text that came up. And this text is going to be more easily seen in the game view than in the scene view because the UI element kind of sizes itself and positions itself based on the game view. So I could control the size of the font, and then as you see, it's getting a little bit bigger, but then when it gets past the container, it will go blank. So in order for it to not go blank when it goes past the container, I'll turn overflow on for vertical and horizontal, and that way I can make the text as big as I want, but it's still showing on the screen. And I could control the color of the text with here, changing and picking different colors. All right, so let's say I wanted a color that matched to Mr. Peabody's color. And I could also control the alignment to be center. Now it's at the bottom of the screen, and I could change its position on the screen, like generally from where it's positioned, using this over here. If I hold down the Alt key and press, I could click to have the text in the center of the screen, at the top, the left, or the right. So let's say I have it positioned to be at the top of the screen. I wonder why it's looking like it's cutting off a little bit, but then I could do, after I do that, then take the height and, oh, that's not it, the position Y, and bring it down a little bit from the top. Okay, so let's see if that's going to be our score. And we're going to have like a score show up there for Mr. Peabody, and we don't like the font. We could change the font. Right here with the character, we could pick a new font. It's just that we don't have any other fonts in our game right now. So that's not a problem that's too hard to solve. I could just go online to somewhere where they have fonts. Like I have this one site, 1001 Free Fonts, which is www.1001freefonts.com, and there's many fonts I could choose from. So now over here, I could kind of pick a font that I want to use for Mr. Peabody. Okay, so for example, I want to see here something. I want to see how my game title, Mr. Peabody, is going to look in the fonts that I'm looking at. And so I type in Mr. Peabody here, and now it'll kind of show me a quick sampling of what the font would look like. And let me just try to see it side by side with my game a little bit, see which one I feel can match my game look and feel. But I'm not going to spend all day here, so I'll just pick this one, and this is free for personal use. So I'm going to download it and put it in my bag of tricks again for Mr. Peabody. And this is a zip file, so let me just download that font there. And then after the font's downloaded, I could go to the folder in my bag of tricks, and I'm going to extract it to a folder in my bag of tricks. So 7-zip, I'm using 7-zip, and I could just extract it. Now the files are here in this folder. I don't need a zip file. And what do I have? I have basically this file here is the TTF. That's the file, that's the font, and this is the license agreement. This is the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to drag and drop the TTF into my project. Okay, so that's the font. So now with the font in my project, I should be able to pick it right here and see what the font looks like for me seeing what score is up there. I had to make decisions. So right now we're just going to pick that. And later on, if we want to change it, we could just change the font. So that's going to be my score up there. So I'm going to call this text text score. All right. And then something I'm going to do, you don't have to do this. The event system is all part of the canvas thing. So I'm just going to drag and drop, put that under canvas to keep things kind of neat for myself. So, all right, so we got the canvas. We got an element to show the score. And now we need somewhere to actually keep track of the score. So there's going to be different objects, I guess, that can contribute to the score. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a global script, a script that's not part of any game object. And I'm going to do that right here by just saying create script, not on a game object, but here in my assets window. And I'll just call this globals, enter. Okay, so for my globals, this is going to be all the other scripts that I added to my game objects. They are derived off of the monobehavior class, such as this right here, the default. And the monobehavior class works with the game objects. But this globals script, it's just going to be a special kind of class called a static class, globals. Okay, and then all my objects in here are going to be static, which means they will just exist within the scope of the entire level. So everything I'm putting in here, public int score, is going to be a global that's going to be kept track of. Public int score, and what does it say? It has to be static. Static int score. So since the class is static, this is static. So now what's going to happen is anytime I want to update the score, I'll have to reference the globals class dot score. All right. So let's say that we collect a coin. Mr. Peabody collects a coin, and I want to put it on the coin that when the coin is collected, it adds to the score. So I'm going to go here to my coin script right here. And right here is where the player hits the coin. So what I could say here is globals dot score. That's the variable I just made, plus equals 1. Okay. So that'll increase the score. And probably something else I want to do in the globals is actually update the here the text for the score. So where could I put that? I could put that on the level. That doesn't have a script yet. So maybe I could put it here on the level. Oh, I don't know where to put it. Let me think. And think on the level control, on the level game object. I'll put like a script here, and this will be like a level controller. This is what's going to keep track of things. Level controller. All right, and in the level controller, we're going to have, okay, let's just take this like this, and we're going to have a thing here, private void update. Maybe we could have a timer that updates the UI and see how often the UI will update. Public. Update timer. Update it, what, every second? No, maybe every 0.5 seconds. Okay, and then public float mark to mark the time. And then in the start, private void start, I say mark equals time dot time. And then over here, if time dot time dot time minus mark. Blah, mark is greater than update timer. You know what? I don't need to like make this whole thing like this. I could just use invoke repeating. So in the start, I'll leave the update timer there. And I'll say invoke repeating. And it's going to call UI update. a function I'll write called UI update. And the first time we'll call it would be like right away at 0 seconds. And then it'll call it every update timer seconds after that. Okay, so in this function, private void UI update, it's going to update the score. So I will also need a pointer to the score. Public game object. Well, I want it to be a text object, and specifically a text object. So using Unity engine.ui to get access to this type here. So this is a public text score, and I'll just call it, I'll call it text score equals null. All right. Now let's see with that text score on the level object. We're going to have to set it text score, and I'll just tell it what the text score is right there. And then back here, we'll say that text score dot text equals score, and then the value for the score, globals dot score. And score is a number, but this is going to have to be a string, so I'll just say toString. Okay, so let's see what that looks like when I press play. So far the first thing I have that adds to the score is a coin being collected. So let's see how that looks when I press play. One, two, three. All right, so now we have score being kept. Great. So we have score being kept, and let's see. What happens too is, let's imagine that we come to the end of the level. Somehow we have to know where the end of the level is going to be. So like when we reach a point to say that we won. So let me scroll down here. Oh, there goes an enemy. And let's say that the end of the level is, let me just control D to make a copy. And once you pass that enemy, we get over here, control D. And maybe this here will be the end of the level. I'll need to have something that maybe I step on or something that is the end of the level. So what I did was I kind of made, for now, a graphic here. So when I touch this graphic, that could determine that I finished the level, I completed it. And I don't know, maybe this should be like a flag or something. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to look into my Unity bag of tricks over here again, and I think I have a graphic I made for a flag. Yeah, so let's drag that in, that sprite. And here we are, we're in the sprite folder already. And now I just want to put it in the scene, size it. So this will be the object that when we reach it and touch it, we made it to the end of the level. So there, and I probably could animate it somewhat. So this sprite, then before I add it to the scene, I should give it some bones so I can make the flag blow in the wind. So I'm gonna go to sprite editor, and I have the 2D animation package installed so that the bone editor is there. And let's see, there'll basically be a bone for the flagpole. Okay, and then I'm going to have the bones here for the flag. Select this bone, add a couple more bones here so it could flap around in the wind. Save that. Now go to the geometry and the weights. So for geometry, generate. Okay, need a little bit more detail in the outline. There we go. And that looks good. And now I'm going to press apply. And then for the weights, I could just say auto. Okay, that's good. And apply. So now the sprite has the bones. So now I'll bring the sprite into the scene. And let me shrink it down to a proper size here. Let's just use the eye guy for scale. And I add the script to it for the bones, which is the sprite skin right there. And then press create bones. All right, so now on my flag, I'm going to make that a prefab. So let's take the flag object from the scene right here and drag and drop. And now I have a prefab. And now let's do an animation for the flag. Animating for level, no, it's flag. Animation for flag, create. And this is just going to have an idle animation. Okay, and we start the record, and we'll just go frames here and see what we do to make this flag flap in the wind. Okay, from here, let's see what that was like. There, and then maybe it kind of will come up. And it comes up. And another frame forward. This comes down more. Kind of like a whipping motion. Let's see. Kind of looks like a tongue just spitting out at you here. Let me get another flap over here. Up, down, and kind of back to where I started. And then we just copy that frame. That's back where I started. Let's see what that looks like. All right, it's kind of like blowing in the wind. Kinda. And let me expand the time. And let's say that's the idle animation for the flag, all right? So that flag will be there, blowing in the wind in the scene as the thing we're trying to get to, the finish line. Now we just have to have a thing that when we touch it, we actually finish the game. So for the flag, I'm going to add a script. Let's take off what I was searching for before. Add a new script, and this will be the flag. And when we collide with the flag, that's going to be the that we beat the level. So actually, let's go back over here. We're gonna have to add a collider to the flag. Where'd you go, flag? Double click on you. There you go. Add a component, physics 2D. And what kind of collider should we add here? It could just be a box collider. Okay. And let me just size it to kind of like closer to the pole that we touch the pole. All right. And so we got a collider so we could tell when we hit. And we want to be able to, just like the coins, that we could tell when we hit the flag, but we could walk through it. It doesn't stop us. So we're going to have that collider be a trigger instead of a collision. We're going to have it as a trigger. So file, save. And now in the script for the flag, now that we have the collider on it, let's go to the script again. And in here, we will say private void on trigger enter 2D right there. Trigger enter 2D. So if collision dot compare tag to the player equals true, that means the player hit the flag, then we would have won the level. Debug.log. We'll just print a message in the bottom now. Winner. Okay. Oh, God, I spelled that wrong. Winner. Save. All right, so instead of me having to go through the whole level to test out if that works, let me just move the flag over. So let me get the move icon, and let's move it somewhere in the beginning, just so we can see that that works, okay? This is what they invent cheat codes for, actually. But we are doing it. Let's put this on the top of the hill. All right, so I'm gonna press play, and here we go. Whoa. And there we go. Right down at the bottom, it said winner. Yep, it says winner. Okay, so the flag works. So now we have a way to win the game or win the level here at the end. Now we have a flag. And now we'll just have to decide what to do at the end. We're gonna have to make like a main menu screen and stuff. And that'll be our next video. Okay.